Check. Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can I have a quick sound check? All right, perfect. Right, it's wonderful to have all of you here today for this webinar on order flow. And today, okay, we're gonna put the focus down to two aspects of order flow, which is identifying the role of initiative traders, by which I mean initiative buyers and initiative sellers in the market. Now, initiative traders are traders, okay, with an agenda, and traders who have a clear direction of what they want to do, and they have a plan in place, and they generally, okay, tend to go at market. That means, okay, they do not put in large limit orders in the market. Whatever is the prevalent price in the market, they want to go and join the mood of the market at join the move of the market at that particular point, right? So we call these traders as initiative traders, and initiative traders by definition are the ones who create large moves in the market, right? The second aspect we're going to be looking at in today's webinar is what we call the COT, the commitment of trade. Now, what really happens is the commitment of trade speaks for the entire market. That means all the buying and all the selling which has been done across that instrument from the start of the day, and indeed, okay, the past few sessions also. So everything is relative to what has happened before, and what could be happening in the current bar would not be something like a new business coming in. It could be related to something which has happened in the recent past also closing in, right? And the common mistake a lot of people do when they look at this term called COT, commitment of trade, is that they focus on only that last one bar, and they try to take a message out of the market by looking at only the last 1 minute bar or the last 3 minute bar or that last 30-minute bar, when in fact, okay, the market, okay, has moved from 9:15 in the morning, and in fact, okay, has moved all week. And it's not just right, okay, to look at only one bar and say, yeah, now, okay, the market is this and now the market is that, right? So we're going to be addressing some of these little nuances, okay, of understanding the COT and understanding the order flow in today's session. Like always, our sessions are open, and we highly encourage a two-way mode, which is you, okay, asking us questions, and we being in a position to answer those questions for you. All right. So what I'll do is I'll hand the floor over to Uttam, who's not just having this presentation, okay, for us, but he's also prepared some slides about how to lead us into this webinar today, with some concrete examples which have happened in the not too distant past. So he will, okay, be doing this presentation for us, and he'll guide us through what is actually, okay, the agenda for the evening today. So I'll hand it over to Uttam, and if you have any kind of questions and all, okay, I'll be reading, okay, your questions, okay, in the Q&A, and be happy, okay, to answer them for you in the Q&A. So over to you, Uttam.
Thank you, Shai. A quick sound check. Am I audible? And I guess the screen is also full screen now, so should be visible to all. Fine. So as Shai mentioned, the first aspect we are looking at today is the order flow. And in order flow, we want to look for initiative players to have a bias. So what we do is right now on the screen, you have the 30-minute order flow chart. And this is of this week from 29th of April, which was this Monday. So we want to take example of latest data. So I would take Monday's data till today for the Nifty futures as well as Bank Nifty futures and see how we have faced. So we have the 30-minute order flow on for our longer term bias, and then once we have our longer term bias, then we look for similar kind of signals on the 3-minute order flow. So rules for going long using order flow is very simple. We look for initiative players, so we want more confirmation that we have good buying which is coming in to go long. So we look for IB plus IB pattern. IB is nothing but an initiative buying bar, which is displayed by a green shaded candle on the order flow chart, and where the POC is in the middle and it is a good green bar closing around the highs of the bar. And when this IB generally comes around important references of market profile, like the POC or a VWAP or a previous important reference, it gives all the more confirmation of a fresh imbalance to start. So right now we have the 30-minute order flow of Nifty futures because we had just started the series of May. This was the second day of May, so the inventory was still building up. And what we saw was on Monday, we opened right at the rollover point of 22648 and we probe lower in the initial balance. So as long as the initial balance was done, we were just looking at the inventory building up and looking for some fresh signals to come in. And what we got in the B period is a good RB bar. And why this RB bar was important was it was taking support just above the POC of previous day, which was 28th April, which was a 22558. I'll just take you back to this. So this POC is what is 28th April POC. So in market profile, we give lot of importance to POCs and VWAPs, especially of days where it is not revisited. So that was telling us that this POC is getting defended, and I will come back to the COT section in the last, but here I would just like to show this one piece of information. As Shai mentioned, we want to look at COT on a bigger time frame. So we want to look what COT is doing on at least 10 bars, the last 10 bars. So here you can see on the 26th on Friday, when we were probing lower in Nifty futures, and I think we have spoken about this last week also, you can see how the COT was turning completely into green. So all these 30-minute bar was green. So what it was telling us that all the shorts were booking profit and there was no fresh supply coming in at lows. So although we made a range extension to the downside on Friday, the COT was not showing any fresh supply which was coming in. So it was telling us that it is not a good idea to carry shorts on Friday close, even though we were below the VWAP. So when on Monday, using this context, we took support just above this POC and we got an RB bar, it was like giving us a sign that the buyers are in control. And when we got this IB bar on 30 minutes, so on 30 minutes, this RB plus IB itself is a very good pattern. So this is giving us the bias for the day. So we can use this low of the IB bar, which is 22606, or the reference of this RB. We can either use the VWAP because this has not been tagged 22590, or this POC as our support. And we can look to go long using the 3-minute order flow charts. So I'll just run through this 30-minute order flow chart first, and then we will move on to the 3-minute order flow of the same day, so that we can see what were the trades we could have made on that day. So it was very clear after the C period, we had a bullish bias, but as in market profile, we don't trust the C side. We would want the market to extend after the D period. So once we did that in here in the in the E period, no, sorry, in the F period, we were getting more confirmation that the buyers intent of buyers is serious. And then we went on to make higher highs and we formed another IB bar in the L period. So this was looking good for a spike, but it didn't happen. So just like how we take the IB bar lows as support on the 3-minute time frame, similarly on the 30 minutes, we would revise our reference to this 22720, and we would remain bullish as long as this 22720 is holding, and we would look for a fresh IB bar after this to revise our reference. So we have seen the 30-minute order flow of that day, and now we'll just quickly go through the 3-minute order flow and see what were the opportunities which came on our end. So that is what we do even in the room when we are looking for trades. We have the 30-minute order flow chart along with the 3-minute order flow chart. Although in the vTrender room we have 3-minute order flow of Nifty and Bank Nifty, we always ask all the members to have a 30-minute chart open on a browser and keep seeing what the 30-minute chart is showing us. So I'll just quickly move to this chart of that day, and we can see here 29th of April, we haven't got any signal as such. In the sense, we have not got an IB plus IB pattern or an IS plus IS pattern. Just like how we look for IB plus IB for taking a long trade, we will look for an IS plus IS to take a short trade. So here when we open, we are just moving around, we are probing lower. This is where we have made those lows in the B period, and this is when after we make the lows we have got above VWAP. So this 10-15 bar, where in the 30 minutes we have got a confirmation that this on 30 minutes it's an IB bar with the low being a 22606, we can maintain a bullish bias and form this POC as our reference. So as long as this is holding, we will be looking for more upside, and we will look for an IB bar. Now, because we already have an IB bar on 30 minutes, we already have a level which we can have as our stop loss, we can even go long on a single bar above VWAP. Although these bars are not printed as IBs because the POC shifted little to the upside in both of them, but these are good green bars. Nonetheless, we would just still maintain a bullish bias and just go through the day if we get another opportunity, as we still have this reference with us. 22606 is our reference, and if we are getting an RB or an IB near this bar, it is a good opportunity to for us to go long. And in case we get a fresh IB on the 3 minute, even that also will be a good uh, chance to go long, taking the low of the previous bar of that latest IB as our stop loss. So as Shai mentioned, when you have initiative players entering the market, they will not wait for price, they will just enter. So, and that is why the auction can give a fast move away. So as you can see here, we did consolidate in the D and E period. In the F period, we made those new highs, and this is where we are extending. There is a change of volumes, and we are moving higher. Still, we don't have any IB bar here, so we are still looking for signals, and this is the first IB we have got. So we can take the low below before this IB as a reference, which is 22670, and look to go long. Here we got an RS and IS, so we will look we'll look at this as more as profit booking, because this level has not been broken, 22670, and here we get this fresh IB bar at 121, and we've got the POC right in the middle. So we this can be a probable fresh trade we can look for with the stop loss of at this POC. The POC before the IB bar, which is 22688. So here with a very small risk, you are getting into the trend. You are getting into the imbalance, which is showing not only on the 3 minutes, but it is also confirmed on the 30 minutes. So we have this as our reference now. It has come up from 22606, which was at the morning, and we are looking for more IBs to form so that we can hold on to it. So meanwhile, what can happen is, in case we can part book some of our longs, and then we can trail it to this POC 22700. So this would be our reference into the close, and we will watch the order flow if it is showing any RB bars or any IB bars at that level. So this is one important signal. Here the POC is shifting to the top. So this is one place where we need to get very uh, cautious with the longs, because POC shifting up on red cot means profit booking. So it means the longs are booking profit. So you would not want to get stuck uh, as a long player if the market decides to correct a bit. So you would trail your stop loss more strictly, and you would hold maybe one very small part of your longs and book out most. So after this, we have also got this IS, so it uh, gives us more confirmation that the longs are now booking profit here. So here you can see we have not got any more IB bars, and this IB bar is coming too late in the day with more as an RS because you have an equal number, big seller and a buyer here. So we don't, we will not take this as a ideal IB bar. So this is what happened on that day. Thanks to the order flow of 30 minutes, we knew that we had to be long. Our initial reference was 22606, and then as we got a fresh reference on the 3 minute, we changed that to 22670. And then on the 30 minutes, when we get this IB, this 22720 becomes our stop loss for longs. So this is how we can look for order flow and combine both the 30 minutes and the 3 minutes. And on the 3 minute time frame, IB plus IB gives you confirmation, and it is best when these IBs come together. They can come in the space of maybe 5 to 6 bars, but if you get continuous IBs together, they give you all the more confirmation, because that is telling you that the initiative buying is got more strength. So I'll just take a quick break for any questions here, and then we will continue with the next J's order flow. There's a question asking how to draw rectangle. So rectangle, these rectangles which are already there on the chart is the POC. These are order flow charts, and it already has a lot of information. It gives you all the data information you need. So you just need to follow the order flow charts. You don't need to add anything in this, because it already has everything. It has the POC, which is this bold white line. It has the IBH and IBL, which is the dotted yellow lines, and then it has the unvisited POCs, which is extended to the right side. In every bar, the POC is marked with a yellow rectangle, the highest volume of that bar, and you have the VWAP of that day as a green line which continues. The POC is auto generated every bar, and that rectangle you get on every bar is the place where the highest volumes have taken place of that particular bar. And these extended lines are important NPOC lines from previous bars which have not been tagged. So once they get tagged, they no longer extend to the right side. So any more queries, guys? In order flow, trending is itself IB plus IB. So if you've got IB bars on the order flow chart, it will tell you that it is trending. Yes, there is one question from Preeti asking if we can use the same concept on option prices. Yes, we can. We do, and we can, and we in fact do this. And I will also take you through a option chart, a call option chart also, once we are done with this, so that we can see what were the opportunities we got in today's 22,500 call. So we can definitely use this option, these concepts on option chart, and we do that in the room also. In fact, I'll show you how we were getting good big buyers in the 22,500 call in the morning, and Shai mentioned that in the room, and we actually were looking at taking long position in the first half. Order flow chart, you will not be able to draw any lines. Market profile chart, you have the option of drawing the KRLs. So coming back to the 30-minute order flow chart. So this is how we closed on Monday. So Tuesday, what happened is we have opened above this POC. So opening above previous day's value and POC is a bullish. So this is kind of continuation. And we already had IB plus IB on 30 minutes on Monday. So because this 22720 was holding and we were above this POC of 22750, we were bullish and we extended on the upside. But what happened in the B period is, unlike what we saw on Monday, we have got an RS in the B period. On Monday, what we got was a RB. So this was not a very bullish sign, because the auction is closed well inside the IB and we have got an RS. And then what we did was Seaside made a rare inside bar that day. And in the D period, when we made an attempt to again extend, we got another RS. So here order flow is very clearly telling us that supply is coming back. And this was a zone where we had supply on 12th of April. 12th of April to 15th of April, I think we gapped down. On 12th, there was the selling which started coming in after we got the failed auction on 9th. So from 9th onwards, we started probing lower. So 12th was one day where we got good selling in the April futures also around the 22750 zone, and in May it was around the 22850. In fact, 22850 was the weekly HVN, and 22865 was a scene of crime on 12th of April. So if we go back to those charts, we can see how we had got sellers there. And same thing happened on Tuesday when we made an attempt to probe higher. We got this RS bar. So RS is responsive selling. So it is telling us that now the buying which had come from 29th open is now meeting selling. So after this, we have not got any IB bar. So our latest reference still remains is 22720. But because we have not been able to extend the IB on the upside, we are not too bullish. And then we make this afternoon swipe higher. We made marginal new highs, and again we get an RS. So this is very clearly telling that the buyers are not able to keep it above this IBH. So and then the K period, once it gave this uh, big red bar down and closed below the IBH and below VWAP, it was a very good signal that the auction can go on to test new lows, because we follow and we have seen many times when in the afternoon, especially in the K period, the VWAP of a day is broken, it generally leads to big liquidation and we can look for fresh reds, fresh lows of the day. So I'll just quickly move on to the 3-minute order flow chart. We don't have any signals here, but what has happened is we have broken this POC of the A period, which was holding all day. So 22775 was our one reference for this day. And once that breaks, we already have confirmation of good selling all through the day here. And so when that happens, we are looking for a test of this 22720 and then the trend day VWAP of this 22679. So that is what we did into the close. So on the 30 minutes, we didn't have any bullish bias after the IB got over. And I'll quickly switch on to the 3-minute order flow and see what kind of signals we got on the 30th of April. So this is where we opened. This is the 30th of April, and it is given us that slow probe higher. The POC was at lows. We are above previous day's POC and we have probed higher. But in this probe higher in the B period, at the IBH, we are getting RS. We are getting RS continuously on 3 bars. So it is not giving us that confidence of uh, taking a long trade above this. But in the dip, what has happened, it is taking support at VWAP. So this is one sign which was telling us that maybe the buyers are coming back, they are defending VWAP, and then they will make a fresh attempt to probe higher. So we just wait and watch. RB at VWAP is a good signal that the buyers are still in the game. If the same bar would have been an IS, then we would have looked for taking a short position based on the RS we already had at the IBH level. So here, because the VWAP was getting defended, which it did in till the close, and as we had taken the 22775 as a reference, which was this opening bar POC, once it was taken out, this POC was not broken till the K period. So this 22775 was our reference on the downside along with the VWAP of the day, and we were looking for sellers to break that for some fresh uh, move lower. So here you can see again we have got 1000 contract seller RS right at that IBH break, and then we have got a IS bar. So this RS plus IS, it's is a good signal. Although we want to go for an IS plus IS bar, we don't have we don't get the IS plus IS on all time frames, and not all days are same. And here we knew that this was a previous seller zone, so it is getting supply. And this was not the first time it was getting rejected here. This was, I think, the second time it made an attempt to probe higher and it got a RS. So with this 22845 as a reference, maybe we can look for a test of VWAP. And if we get another IS at VWAP, that would mean that the sellers are in complete control. But then again, after this IS, what we see is we break below VWAP, but again we have formed a RB. And we have seen that 22775 reference from the order flow chart of morning. So we want that reference to break. But here we are not getting that confidence because we are getting zeros on the sell side at the lows. So that means the sellers are not strong enough to break this 22775, at least for the time being. So what happens here, because this zone is not been able to be pierced by the sellers, the auction again remains in a very narrow range between the 22775, and then it makes another attempt later in the day to probe higher. And this was a low volume balance which was happening on that day, so we were not reading much. So again here we did get some selling coming in, but this level was again defended. So multiple times that 22775 was getting defended, although we were going below VWAP, we are not able to break that morning POC level. So then we again slowly go up, and it finally looks at that 2 o'clock bar that Nifty may be ready to go higher. But this again, the POC shifted to the top. So we are still waiting for one good IB bar, or at least one more bar after this, which closes at the top in a green. So then we can take this as our support and look to trade that 2 IB extension which we have. So, but what happens here is 22850, 22850, 22850. Again, we are stalling right here. That means this zone is been uh, facing good supply, and this 22850 I told you was a weekly HVN also. So this has already been marked as a previous supply zone. So this has not been able to be taken out by the buyers. So we are still stuck between the 22850 on the upside and 22775 on the downside. And what we are getting here are solitary signals, so which are not helping the cause. So what we want is one good break of VWAP, which happens here in the K period. As I mentioned, if you see this bar 239, we have broken VWAP, although we have not broken the 22775. It is still telling us after this fresh supply of 22850 that the auction is more biased on the downside. And this bar of 248, which breaks below this 22775, is our signal that yes, now the sellers seem to have taken over from the buyers. So here when we see this kind of a bar, although this is not showing us an IS bar, we know from the order flow that we are not bullish. And now that it has broken this 22775, we can take this VWAP as our reference and look for more downside, in fact new lows into the close. So that is what happened. And once we get another good red bar, we can trail the stop loss to that particular bar. So once we get this big red bar below VWAP, we can take a short position with VWAP as our stop loss. Although we have not got an IS printed signal here, this looks a good IS bar. And same thing happens in the 3 o'clock bar, where we have broken below the IBH, and we have tested the 22720 level which we had seen, the IB low from 30 minutes, which is also a NPOC on the 3-minute order flow. So these levels will overlap and they will show up on both 3 minutes as well as 30 minutes. So that is why it is important to see what order flow is showing us when it tags. So here we can see what has happened is the cot is completely turned red, and this was more profit booking of the longs. And because we had an event the next day where we were closed and the globe was open May 1st, so which explains this red caught into the close. This was all profit booking by the longs, and we held above that trend day VWAP of 22679. In fact, that was our reference even today morning. when we opened, that 22679, if would have broken, we would have not been bullish. So this is how it played out on Wednesday. So if you have any queries on this, I can take those questions before we move on to today's auction. See the 30-minute order flow and then look at the 3-minute order flow. And finally, we will see the 22,500 call of today to see what were the uh, setups which we got today. So any queries, guys? Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll shift on to the 30-minute chart of today, and we will see the 3-minute order flow of today of what were the probable signal. So as we can see, the opening bar was did make a low. In neutral, extreme is known for not giving a follow up. So what we did at the open was we did make a probe below previous lows, but we held the 22679 VWAP from the trend day, and we have got zeros below that. So it is very clear that there is no supply at the lows. So when you don't have supply at the lows, it is giving us that confirmation that what we saw the red caught at previous day was more of profit booking by the longs. So from here we are looking for the auction to probe higher, and this once it makes higher highs in the B period, it is confirmed that it may continue to extend, but we would need a good meaningful range extension on a uh, TPO after the C period. So what we did at the open was, this is a 3-minute order flow chart, and you can see how we have got zeros below previous day's lows in this bar. So we are still not got any IB bar as such, but it is just telling us that there is no supply on the downside. Okay, there is one question by Preeti who is asking, how do we know if it is profit booking or break of WAP of POC indicates that reversal? So when we have red caught and when we are uh, getting RS bars, that is more of responsive activity or old business covering. When we have IS bars, that is more of initiative activity or fresh selling which is coming in. So we, that is the reason we look at order flow signals as responsive and initiative. We want to go with the initiative players, whether it is initiative buying or initiative selling. So if we want to go short, we will look for IS bars on 30 minutes and IS plus IS on 3 minutes. Similarly, if we have to go long, we will look for IB bar on 30 minutes and IB plus IB on 3 minutes. And we would play with the rule of 10. Once we get a signal, that signal is valid for 10 bars, including the bar where the signal has come. So we would want we would give that much of time for the trade to play out. And yes, POC shifting to the top from bottom when you are having a trending move is an indication that it is profit booking, because POC at lows means the buyers had come in and they moved the auction to the upside. They hit their objective, which is why they have booked profit. They are booking profit. So coming back to the order flow chart of today, we can see the opening bar had zeros. And one more thing to notice here was the 30-minute bar. This 2274Y was one important reference because this was the VWAP of the L period. So L period VWAP was holding in the morning. It was showing us some supply, which we can see even on the 3-minute order flow chart. So here, when we made this probe higher, we got good selling which came in around the 2 to 750 mark. So although we have not got supply below the lows, we need to get an IB at this level to probe higher. And because we had a neutral extreme profile on Tuesday, the VWAP of that day, which was a 22785, was one reference which we were expecting to get tested, because the supply was not there at the low. So we were expecting the 22785 to get hit once. So, and what order flow would have shown us there would have set up the day for us. So that was our bias. And what happened here was, we first got this supply at 945. Then in the B period, we made a probe below the VWAP, but again formed a RB. And after forming an RB, we came back above VWAP, and we remained above VWAP for a considerable period of time. And then here we made this high of 22778, which was just stopping short of the 22785. So we were not finding much of range or volumes today, and it was a narrow range day. So, but only thing which was keeping us bullish was we were above the VWAP of today. So then what happens is, in the 10-15 one bar, again we get new highs, but we have got the POC shifting right to the top. So this is not a good sign. Either we get an immediate follow through to this bar, we get another IB bar after this, which will force more upside to come. But if this RS remains, then there is a very good possibility of that VWAP getting tested again, and we remaining in a narrow range. So that is what happened, and we remained in this zone. At this VWAP, the POC also shifted here. Here, when we got this IB, this was a sign that it can again go back to test the IBH. So, which is what it did. But this was again a single bar signal. So we don't want to take much out of it. And here at 11:30, when we are making new highs, we are again seeing the POC shift more to the upper part rather than stay in the middle. And here we have got red sellers. So although it has tested the 22785, we have not got an ideal IB bar which we would have wanted. And we can see how immediately after forming multiple POCs around the same level, it is given us a IS. So this is telling us that there is either it is only the locals who are in play, or that zone of 22800 is being defended. 22785, which was the neutral extreme VWAP, which is still being defended by the sellers. So because of which we remained in this range, although this IB bar, this POC was one important reference, 22754. If we would have gotten IS at this, we could look for a short with the stop loss just below the POC of the previous bar. So this was our setup for the afternoon. So as we move forward, we stayed above that POC. So you can see how in this dip to that POC, we have defended that 22750. 22752 is the low which we made. And again, we are not seeing much of supply adding over here. So these kind of days are known to be testing, because we are not getting a clear signal here. Plus it was an expiry day, so there was more chance of the option writers being in control and playing the auction as per their inventory. So what happens here is, again in the I, we have defended VWAP. Again in the I, we have formed a IB bar, but this is again too narrow a range. It is only a 7-point range for it to be qualified as a good IB. So then we make new highs of 22807, 22808, and then again we are seeing RS forming. So at no point of time we have got IB plus IB on the order flow to take a long position. So this is one where we will need to get smarter and play these kind of days as per the range which is there. So here is the first time we are getting IS plus IS. So this IS plus IS is telling us, and although because we have these RS at the highs, we can take a position here. But again, because of the range, don't expect too much of downside. So what we do is we can take a shot at the close of this bar, which is 22780. The stop loss would be 22795. And accordingly, we look for targets of 22765 and 750. So whether you take a trade or not, these signals give us a clear view of what the auction is doing, and we can see what the auction has done post that. So this did hit the 22765, and we got some sell big red stuck there because it gave a RB bar and it tried to get IB back, but then again it was not able to take off this highs of IS. So here, anyways, if you get an IB, it negates any, and we have hit the first target. We have narrowly missed the second target by 1 point, and we have got an IB bar. So we are out of shots when this bar is confirmed. Here we get the second IB bar. So just like how we got IS plus IS inside 10 bars, this signal is also the first time we are getting IB plus IB inside 10 bars. So here again, we cannot expect too big a range because the market is in a narrow play. So here we have closed at this 22768, I think. So 22750, the lows of the bar can be the stop loss, and you can look for a probable move, similar kind of a move to the upside, which once it hits, you will trail your entry to cost. So that is what was happening today. We were getting very small ranges. Even in the small ranges, the order flow was able to show you some signs where you can take a long entry and where you can go short. But again, as we knew, this 22795 needs to be broken with an IB for upside, which didn't happen. And here again, the POC is shifting to the top at 3 o'clock. So this is not a good sign. This in fact is telling us that the auction may go on to close at VWAP or lower. So which is what it did, and it just remained in a very narrow range for the rest of the day, with the POC shifting a little bit more lower to 22775. So all said and done, the VWAP of today was defended. And if you see the 30-minute order flow chart, we can see big reds building up. In the morning, we were little bullish after the IB was formed, but and because the cot also was green in the C, D, and E period, but slowly from the H period onwards, the cot started turning red. And once we made this new high and the 30-minute cot was the biggest red cot, we knew that auction is not looking good for upside, at least for the day. And which is what we did. We went on to test this low of 22750, and even into the close, we saw some red cot coming in. So going forward for tomorrow, because we have had a balanced day, we will look for a move away from this balance. So how will that come? We will need to move away from this POC, and on the upside we will have to take out this 22808. So from Tuesday we have this reference of 22828. So these will be our references. We will need the order flow to show us some buying volumes at that level. On the downside, 22750 is our first immediate reference, and if that breaks, we can look for a test of that 22679 trend day VWAP. There again, we will have to see what the order flow shows us for taking probable trades. So I'll quickly move on to the Bank Nifty order flow chart. Just run through the 30 minutes before I take up the option of 22,500, and we can see how we could have taken trades today. So this is the 29th of April, this Monday's 30-minute chart. And you can see how we, similar to Nifty, we formed an RB bar and then we formed an IB bar. So this RB plus IB on 30 minutes is a very good sign that you need, the bias is on the long side. And Bank Nifty just flew because we had a 4,000 contract buyer right at this 48875. And then when we got this another second IB on 30 minutes, it was all the more confirmed that we have a trend day on our hands, and we keep trailing with the latest reference. So this is how the Bank Nifty chart played out, and we kept getting IBs on 30 minutes itself. So the latest IB bar, we take that as our support and we hold on to the longs as long as we continue getting signals in that direction. So this is the 22,500 call chart, and I will run it from 29th, I think 30th of April. I'll just run it through what happened at close on 30th so that we have little bit of context which will help us to understand where we stalled today. So on the 30-minute order flow, we did see uh, how Nifty futures was stalling on uh, Tuesday at those high of 22850. So what happened in this call is we were making RS at this IBH level, which was a 292, and this was the first IS bar we got. So this IS bar came at VWAP, and you remember this time 248. This was the same time where we broke the 22775 level in the futures, which was the POC from the A period, and which was a very bearish sign. So here we got this IS bar, and this was a short. This call was a short. It closed around 244. So POC of the previous bar, which was a 270, would be your stop loss, and you would look for expected targets in that range. So once you hit the target one, target two, you will trail it to cost, and your cost, instead of having it as 244, you can have it as the POC of this IS bar, which is 250. So here you saw good selling from this 244. It went on to make a low of 175, that CE on Tuesday. And today when we opened, that's what I was coming to. We got some zeros on the downside in the CE. And then what happened is, if you can see this 927 bar, we have got 6,000 contract buyer at 162 level. And at the same time, again at 936, we got another 7,000, almost 7,000 contract buyer at 156. So this was telling us that the buyers are coming in, and on the future side, did not get a follow up to the neutral extreme lows. So that is why we were looking for more upside in this call, and this opening low was our reference on the downside, because we are getting buyers at the lows. But we wanted it to sustain above the VWAP for more upside. So it did. This level was defended. Although it went above VWAP, it again came down. This 156.8 level was not broken. And here finally, when it saw the DPOC shifting lower, it did give us that move higher. It went on to make 213 as a high. It remained above the VWAP. You can see the dip again got a buyer here, RB. 2,400 contract buying was here. And then we got RB plus IB. So this is telling us that the move is still on to the upside. And as long as this POC holds, you are in. So this POC got broken only at 1106. And once before in fact this had become our latest reference, this 200 level, and this 190 would have been our stop loss if we had entered after this, and this became our new reference because we got an IB bar after this. So this POC was the reference. Break of this POC uh, led to the conclusion that it is no longer bullish, after which it went on to make lows. And then again we got 7,200 contracts right at the POC level 169. This is the same level where it has been getting buying right from morning. So once you have this information on order flow, you can take very low risk setups, buy setups, where you know your stop loss is very small, and you can see how on this IB. In fact, even if we don't take a buy here, this IB was a buy with the stop loss below this low. So, and what it did was it went on to make a high of 249. Although on the order flow chart, we can see only 241 as the high. The actual high made on this time in the terminal was 249. And why I'm giving you that signal is, you can see this 250 line coming from previous NPOC, which is what was the POC of the IS bar I had shown you when we got that first IS bar on Tuesday in the afternoon, 248 bar. It stalled right at that POC bar. So this is how the IS bars and the IB bar POCs give us good follow up references also. So this is the 250, which is stopped today's high. So this was also the VWAP of Tuesday. So when, as I've already mentioned, the VWAP and POC are very important references in market profile. So when you know that you're getting an RS there, it is very easy to understand that the upside is getting stalled. So after this, what happened? Just like the POC of IS was holding, this POC of IB bar had to hold. If this would have broken, then you could have gone short on this call because it was an expiry day using a stop loss of the highs. So it held in the first attempt. It made couple of supports, and again you can see here it made a low right at 204. So this is how the IB and the IB are IS bars not only give you fresh trades but also give you follow up trades which you can use at levels. So just like how 250 did not give way, 204 was holding the downside, but it had to get above the 250 level. Well, here again we have got an RS at 1230, and this IS bar which breaks the 204 is a sign that this call is maybe done for the day, or at least you can have 250 as your stop loss and remain short in this. So here we did get a swipe higher to 234, but still it remained in the narrow range, and finally into the close it started to break below. So here you can see how we got this IS just below the K, just before the K period started, which is a very important period for us. And once we get this, we know that an IS coming just below the POC and at VWAP means this call can drift lower into the close. So what it did was it went on to make a low of 146, which is where the spot I think closed, and we got that big RB buying order again. So again, this is how we could play out the 22,500 call using the order flow as well as the signals which are generated. So into the close, you know, this will act as support, which it did. We did not break this 146 again, and on the upside, we are not able to get above this POC of the IS bar, which came just below the K period. You can see how this formed a high right there. We got an RS there, and 147, 146.7 is the lows we made. So this is how we can use order flow even on the option charts. They give amazing entries and exits, and they give you a very good view of what is happening even on the longer time frame when you compare the 30 minutes with the 3-minute order flow chart. So I'll get back to the queries. Please feel free to ask any queries. Nagaraj has asked and that has been answered. Yes, the more number of IBs we get, the more bullish the trend is. So ideally, we would want more follow up. IB plus IB is our long signal, and we will continue to hold on to that trade for 10 bars unless our target is met or the stop loss is hit. Till if it does not do anything in the 10 bar, then we may look to scratch the trade. But within the 10 bars, if we are getting another fresh signal in the same direction, it gives us more confirmation that you can get more, the range can expand more. Preeti has a question. Does NPOC used as a short reference for booking trade? See, depending on where the NPO, what the NPOC is. For example, I showed you the NPOC at 250 today in the 22,500 call. So when we are getting a RS over there, you can use that as a signal to go short with a stop loss above 250. KRL is key reference level, Nagaraj. So any more queries, guys? So before we can wind up, I think we have already shooted the time limit. So what I'll do quickly is I'll go through a sequence of what happened on the 30-minute cot when this expiry started, so that we can see how cot plays a very important role and how it is important to see cot on a longer time frame basis. So 25th of April, this is the May series. You can see initially we had green cot, but as we moved higher into the close, we were getting deep red cot. So we had 2843, 2486, 2224, 7952, 9593. So this is big reds on the expiry day. So this is very clearly showing us that the buyers are not adding the May series, at least on the expiry day. So expiry day was used, the rise was used by the May series sellers to enter, and which is what continued on the first day of the series, which was the Friday. We saw initial balance continuing that red cot. So this cot is telling you that the sellers are have added, and they would definitely want to push the market down. Although we did not do much for the first half of the day, we did make a follow down in the I period, where we got this new selling at 2017, and it went on to make new lows. And in this new lows, we had already discussed how from the red cot we started seeing green cot coming in. So this was very clearly showing us that the supply, the sellers who had entered on the expiry day and in the initial balance on 26th of April, were booking out. And you can see how the cot just kept adding green into the close. So here it was very clear that although we made this low of 22530, and this was another reference which we have of anchored VWAP, the court was telling us that it was the sellers who have booked profits. Similar to what happened day before, when the red court was telling us that the buyers who had entered from 29th April were booking profit. So it was not fresh supply which was coming in, which is the reason we did not get any follow through today to the downside. So this is how we look at cot. We look at cot over the at least a 10 period bar, and we see what it is doing on the 30-minute as well as on the 3-minute. So it is how you will have to take cot in sync with what the order flow signals are showing you. So any more queries, guys, before we log out? Yes, how to draw KRL lines is there in the previous webinar, and you can go through that. If not, if guys, if you have any other queries, you can DM me on Twitter. My Twitter ID is at Uttam Goel, and I'll definitely get back to you. And thanks for joining in. Hope you guys like this session, and looking forward to a fresh one in the next week. Thanks for joining in. Signing off for now. Thank you, guys.